Greetings and salutations. Greetings and salutations. I am super excited because I have my friend, I have my purpose partner. She is now a co author, which we're going to talk more about. But I want to introduce to you the Royal Court. She's not a stranger to King's Kid at all. Shariah, how are you?
Hello, I am blessed. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm, I'm so giddy right now.
I invited you on because one, we went through the I'm Speaking book project. And we also went through, which is how we met, we also went through a phase together to where our voices was silent. And then we kind of grew, or we did grow to find the power in our voice. And that evolved into us just becoming closer in Christ, but it also involved with us coming together with this book project.
Right.
So I want to talk to you about our growth. Like when we met, we was in this place to where it was hard for both of us to verbally speak. We did speak, but it was hard. So I want you to share with me, when you think about the phrase I'm speaking, what does that mean to you? Coming from where we were to where we are now.
Ah, first I was like, yeah, we've been rocking and rolling. I would definitely say that it speaks to evolution. I would say that it reminds me of authority. And I say that because we were silent, but as we began to speak, we began to recognize the authority that was given to us to speak, right? Um, it means victory, right? Over the things that have tried to keep us silent, whether it be, jobs, trauma, childhood traumas, relationships, whatever it may be. It means an advocate, like to advocate for one another, but to know that we have a God who's advocating for us. So yeah, we speaking.
When you mentioned advocating, I thought
Mm-hmm.
about the song where they say, God is fighting for us, pushing out the darkness, lighting up the kingdom that cannot be shaken. And I'm thinking about that because so many times we're looking for an advocate. We're looking for someone that will advocate on our behalf. And that's literally the job of the Holy Spirit. Like he empowers us to advocate, not just for ourselves, but to advocate for others. And I don't mean
Exactly.
to go into a whole Bible study, but I really just thought that as you were talking, and we didn't realize our power. We didn't realize that we had victory in that.
I think too, though, the beautiful part about it is we didn't recognize that power, but as we continue to experience, we begin to recognize God and his sovereignty. We begin to recognize the nature of who he is,
Yeah.
and how he regards his children. And so, yo, we can go back with this, but in the process, he was there, like literally in the silence too.
Right. Right.
In the silence. So it's just like,
Right. He was still there. So if there's someone that's in that place that we were in, how do you think we should empower them, whether it's a male or female, to continue to speak or even to start to speak? Because I didn't start to speak up until the end of my time.
right.
And I think you, by the time I had ended, you had dipped out. And I think you started like your second half, like that full second or third year or so. So how do you empower somebody to start or even continue? Because it can get tiresome.
And it can get very hard, I will say. just because there's this, not a desire, but there's this comfort that you get when you retreat, right? And so I would say it's a process every single day. And I understand that there's grace, right? On the book release call with some of the other women, one woman said, "I will stop speaking when God stops speaking to me."
Woo!
And so God speaks, and I think we can empower people by encouraging them to get to know his voice and get to know how he speaks to each one of us individually. And I think there is it's so important to have community. One thing that I will say is you are part of my story, right? Because I was silent and you extended this opportunity like, hey, sis, you need to check this out. You need to check this out. I know you say you're going to pray about it, but I'm going to let you pray about it. And you come back and you let me know. And then I hit you up and you were like, I'm glad you're saying yes. And it was like this like partnership. And so just get to know God, get to know how he speaks, and then be open to community as well.
And I think that was an important piece because even in those, what we would consider a dark season or challenging season for both of us, we were each other's community, whether it was a text away, whether it was a call away, whether it was even in our tears, like we were still able to lean on each other and hug one another and send prayers and encourage one another. And one thing that you were part of my story as well, because one thing that I always said, I was like, when she left, a part of me left with her.
Well, the crazy thing is too, and I don't like, I love our story. Like I love our friendship too. But I think one of the most pivotal parts for me is like, we would get up every day. Well, not get up, but we would be at work and we'd go drink our tea or whatever, but we would always have conversations about God. Right. And I think I had hit a low at one point and you literally quietly went to your desk and you wrote me a prayer that I still have. And so I couldn't speak, like I wasn't speaking at the time and we were both in this dark place, but like that simple gesture was like breakthrough for me. And so I think too, when we talk about like empowering each other, it doesn't mean like these big grand gestures. Sometimes it's like, yo, give me a high five. Right. You look good today, sis. How you feeling?
Because we had to do that to one another in that space. And our first conversation was about our hair. Our very first conversation was about hair. But I think that was a way for us to empower one another and even extend it beyond just our group. But when we see other people that we know that they're going to experience it too, at least reach our hand out to say we're here.
Right. You're not alone.
Right. And I think that's why I love the stickies. Like I love keeping stickies on the desk that I was in, because if I saw a sticky that had a quote or a scripture that somebody needed, I just ripped off the sticky and gave it to them. But I saw that as just me. I can't change the situation, but I can at least make it lighter. I didn't realize that was also a form of ministry. I didn't realize that. And it wasn't until a leader, she was like high up in the organization. And she said, when people come to my office, what do you think they're doing in here for so long? I'm ministering to them. And people that went in her office, it wasn't a come in and come out. It was you come in and you're going to be in there for a minimum of and it's just fulfilling, like she's just pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring into you. But she said, this is ministry to me. My office is ministry. Right. And I even had somebody that asked me, they said, so what are you going to do with all those scriptures on your desk? And I was like, use them. He was like, so what if, you work with somebody who's a non-believer? Well, however big this little square is, that's mine.
Right.
They don't believe, they don't believe. I don't have control over that. I just have to be a light. So I'm thankful that even though you didn't have to like verbally say I needed a prayer, that God still used me to help you in that moment, because I feel like that's what you were for me.
Right.
Which is why it was like, God, she gone, what I'm gonna do. But I think, he equipped us during that time so much to where like the bond was already sealed in.
Right. But I
So
think too, oh sorry. But
no,
I was thinking too, this is an example of like women empowering each other, right? And so with this book, I do think that it's important to emphasize that this is like kind of a call to action for men as well. And it's opportunity for them to be allies, right? Because when we think about community and we think about empowering each other, this is not like an exclusive like sisterhood. This is family. Like this is community. This is kingdom,
right,
right? And so I just, like we had people that we worked with, they kind of like poured into us. We would have conversations with them. I mean, we getting biscuits.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like simple gestures. And I think sometimes we can overlook the little things and then undervalue the impact that they have. So
Right. Like community is everything. Like I always say, Jesus had 12 and he was the Messiah. I ain't saying get 12, but get one.
get one.
Get some, like get this life is hard. It's
You ain't lying.
it's not easy. Like you need somebody to be able to carry you when you can't carry yourself. Like the example that was
Right.
used on the book launch. Like get you some friends that'll climb on top of the roof and lay you at the feet of Jesus.
Right. For real though. If for real, like, yeah, it's that serious.
Get some friends and some community that will do that, and I think that's what we were for each other throughout our process. So as we talk about our experience, how do we continue, or how do you continue to rewrite rules and dismantle systems that are not conducive to you?
Oh, that's good. That's good. Honestly, um, I think it just kind of goes back to like who I was created to be
Mm.
and who I belong to,
Mm.
right? And so it's just like it's certain things it's just not gonna rock. Just off the strength of like my father.
Right.
Um, and with that being said, I think is just staying in connection with him. And so when I think about dismantling systems and rewriting rules, is also with the understanding that I'm a human being that is evolving, right? And so a lot of things that may used to apply, the rules have changed. They don't apply no more. They don't work. They don't work. But I think part of rewriting the rules and dismantling systems is staying true to who I am. And in learning learning how to show up as my full self and operating in that. Um,
Ooh, mask off, mask
and
off.
it's a daily thing. It's a daily thing, right? Um, it's me recognizing spaces that are like too small for what I'm bringing and saying, you know what, like I don't know, we might need to talk.
That's powerful. Recognize spaces that are too small, because a lot of times we would try to fit into that space.
Right. And we shrink,
Yes,
and it's like nah,
it's a no for me.
it I'm sorry. Hard pass. It's not gonna work. But yeah, it's definitely a daily thing. And I think it's important to just make sure that we're extending grace to ourselves and to other people. Um, yeah, yeah.
How do you extend grace to yourself?
Child, I had to tell my I had to just how it's how I talk to myself. I think I have to like literally, and I do talk to myself. I know y'all might be watching this video like, wait a minute now,
No,
but
no,
yeah,
I got you.
I definitely be like, all right, now, Shariah, like, look.
Get to
It's all right. It's okay. Breathe. Or I'll go sit in a closet and ask God to help me with it.
right.
To be honest. So
So you are now a published author. We have talked about you becoming a published author before. It was one of those things that you wanted to do. What was your experience like?
yo, I'm about to break out in full testimony right now. So like my first book that I contributed to was in the second grade. I had a teacher that had the class contribute to this book project. It was around the same time that the Twin Towers got bombed. So kids were grieving in the book, you know, all of us were kind of going through it. And I've always written like short stories, whatever it was. And so I believe that Corn Fairy was like one of the places where I was like, okay, I'm working with an author, because you had co-authored a book at the time too. And so as God moved me to different places, I was meeting more authors, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna release a book. I'm gonna release a book. But I think the most fascinating part of this experience is that I'm a published author, but it happened after I journeyed to Christ. And so I think the beautiful part about it is that when I contributed to this book, I had to lean into God, because my mind drew a blank. How I'm writing this all up this whole time, and now I don't got nothing to say. How that work? And so I had to like literally pray. I had to pray. I had to surrender, and God placed people to like help me in terms of my writing process. And He just kind of like poured into me, and so it feels there is just an overflow. Like I don't know how to describe it, because I recognize God in the process. I never thought that I would be collaborating on another book project with 87 other women. It was a godsend opportunity. I didn't know that my purpose partner, this girl that I met when I was fresh out of grad school, that we would become like this and like do a book project together that is a legacy edition. So it's crazy.
I wasn't gonna let you say no though. Like any excuse that you had, I was gonna combat it until you said yes. Like I was committed. I had already talked to Ed about if she say tell me no as far as anything, I'm gonna pay for it in her name and just send it to her. Like I had already committed to that. Like it was that serious because you have a voice within you, and I get to experience it because we're friends, like we're purpose
Right.
friends, we do life together. But it's time for the world to experience you. It's time for the world to experience your voice, experience your authenticity. In a world where everything is masked, it's time to take the mask off and be our true authentic selves. And that's your overall message in life. It's for people to be authentic. That's what ShariahNicole is about. So I for me it was like she doing this because she may have all these other things and she may tell me no, but she gonna do it. Like I knew if I had to, I could go behind your back and do it and tell you I did it. And I'd rather me and you fight that out and we still be here than you miss the opportunity to see it and experience it.
So that's the crazy part too. Whoever is going to see this video, I need you to understand you need a friend like T. Now, T, my friend, and I share. I do. I do. You know what I'm saying? But it kind of goes back to that empowering, right? Because you would not allow me to like sit there in my silence. It was like a no. And I thought it was like very cute too, because when you sent the invitation or whatever, you said, now I'm gonna let you go and pray about it, you know. I'm gonna let you go and pray about it, because you know me, I'm gonna say I'll pray about it. But yeah, you and one thing that you did stress too, just even throughout the process, was like get the full experience, right? And I think too that helped me like bask in the present time, because sometimes it's like we get so focused on outcomes that we miss everything around us. We miss to celebrate the small victories. We miss like who God has positioned to help us. even if it's setting up how to process payments for the book, setting up the website, what social media promo I'm supposed to release today, whatever it may be, like just seeing him and his goodness and how he works is like, wow.
And I think with getting the full experience is getting the experience from experts who would do it in a spirit of excellence. And that right there, priceless.
Right.
Who will honor your story and who would push you to speak. So I just felt that it was something that you had to be a part of, and I want you to do your due diligence. So of course I'm gonna tell you to pray about it. I'm gonna do that, but
Right,
at
right, right.
the end of the day, it's a yes.
Right, right, right.
It's a yes. Like I
Right.
already know it because I see what's in you, and you have such an amazing story. We don't, of course, we want your book, like we want your book with just your name on it. But as we're on our way to that process, we can get a little teaser, we can get a little appetizer here and there, and that's what you gave us. You gave us a little appetizer. Then I'm gonna let you put all your social tell all your social media so people could come and follow you on the YouTube. I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna do that. But I'll be on there and it be some good stuff. That's all I'm gonna say. So I do want you to let us know like how people can reach you. And then before you do the how people can reach you, I do want you to share like one lesson or one drop one jewel in someone's crown about I'm speaking.
Who? I want to say this. I'm speaking because I'm not unfamiliar with silence, right? And so even in the spaces where I felt I could not speak, it did not mean that God wasn't speaking to me. And so if you are in a season where you are silent, right? Where you're struggling to speak up, where you're struggling to find your voice, I would encourage you to seek God because you will find him and he will pour into you and he will give you the words and he will empower you to speak. And he will keep speaking to you. And so I'm a writer, and I'll say that the writers that I know, they have had something that have tried to silence them. And they're great writers and they've produced great work. Um, because God is greater than your silence. He is in the silence, but he's greater than whatever it is that's trying to plague you of the voice that he gave you. So keep going.
Whatever's trying to plague you of the voice that he gave you. Wow. How can people reach you?
Girl, I'm gonna have to go look. I'm gonna have to go sit with the Lord after this because this is like,
Look, I'm trying to find my journal to write that down.
it's like, this is like, it's just so full circle. And it's like, it's literally like God. Like there is no other explanation. I think I'm just like real giddy. Like I told you, I'm real giddy. Y'all can reach me at ShariahNicole.com. Instagram at the ShariahNicole. ShariahNicole.com is probably best. I write there. My book is there. You'll be able to find me. If you want to reach out, you want to chat,
Order the book.
you can order the book.
ShariahNicole.com. And I'll be sure to have it in a blog for people as well. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for speaking. And thank you, as I always tell you, like, thank you for being on this crown light journey with me.
Yes, baby. Look, we gonna get them crowns, and if we gonna be crucified, we gonna be rocking and rolling. Okay, we gonna rock.
You ready? You ready?
We ready. You know what I'm saying? Period. Thank you for having me and for being the vessel. I love you. So Yeah.
I love you too.